Okay, so if you're a female and you never purchased a car before, this video might be helpful for you. I decided to make this video because I think I've purchased all my cars by myself. You know, ever since I started driving and was able, you know, to make enough money to purchase a cash car or even a vehicle that was financed. I've always went by myself to purchase them just because of the stereotype that people think that women can't go in and negotiate and make good deals and purchase a car on their own without the help of a man. Now, I have one time taken a man with me, but that was a simple process, and I don't think that his presence there made a big difference in the purchase or even the sale value of the car, and I'll tell you why in a second. So when I was in college, I think I was 19, I decided to buy a cash car, and I went on Yahoo Auto and I found a 1994 Probe. Okay, it was a nice little car though. I called it the Doom Buggy, and I went on the auto and I linked up with the lady who was a anesthesiologist, and her daughter was attending school in, I think, Bowling Green or something like that. And they had just been trying to get rid of the car for so long. She said, you know, they kept it running, and every now and again the daughter would get in when she came home and drive it around, but you know, they upgraded her and you know, they didn't need it. So every time I tried to, you know, contact the person about buying the car, and I keep in mind this was like 2002, so you know, we didn't have all these smartphones and stuff like that, so I had a landline number that I had to call, and sometimes people wouldn't answer the phone. And the lady told me that she thought that I was very patient, and so you know, when I got there to purchase the car at their house, or I don't know if they picked me up, I can't remember, but it was far. I think somebody else took me. I think because I had patience, the girl came and picked me up from my house. So they came and picked me up, and I looked at the car, and she took like $400 off immediately for me just for being patient. And then after that, you know, one of the places that we were going to go to do the title, to get the new title settled or whatever it is that we wanted to do at the DMV, it was closed. So she drove me like 30 miles to the next one. I mean, these just were nice people. So after she did that, you know, everything was all well with the purchase of the car and everything like that. So that was my first purchase, and I think I purchased that car for like $1,200 or something like that. It was a very good car. I didn't have any problems until maintenance. I couldn't keep up the maintenance on it because I was a broke college student, so I couldn't keep up the maintenance on the car. I remember even changing my oil myself one time, which is something that I never want to have to do again. So that was that with that car. One day on my birthday, like a couple years later, it just overheated and kind of just poofed up into some smoke, like in the driveway. It got me to the house, and I just was at the end of the driveway like, I can't make it up the hill. So ever since then, the little car died, and it just sat, and I think people said it blew like some motor gaskets or something, but it was just crazy. My second car that I purchased was a Bonneville. It wasn't a cash car, but it was like one of those things where you hurry up and pay it off. It's like bi-weekly, you pay it when you get paid. And I remember everybody used to tease me because I had one of those kill switches in the car, and you know, if you ain't pay your bill, the car would beep when you got ready to cut it on to remind you that you only had 1 or 2 days to pay your bill. That shit was so embarrassing, and it was also new because a lot of people didn't know anything about it, but it gave me the motivation to always pay the car note, and it also gave me the motivation to make sure that I paid it off. So I remember, you know, I worked real hard that winter, and I grinded out, and I paid the car off before like the beginning of the year, before spring ever hit. So it was a good opportunity to test me to see, you know, what it was that I needed to do to survive as far as having a car. The Bonneville never really gave me any problems. It was a big body. It ate up some gas, but, you know, I loved it. And the only thing I ever had a problem with was like the alternator, you know, or the starter. Those two went hand to hand, and one of them went out, and then I had one of those little corroded plugs on the battery. So sometimes it would be nothing wrong with the car. The little plug would just get loose and somebody would have to tighten it. But I mean, it was just a good car. So to get to Houston, Texas, I sold that car because I wanted to have money to live off of when I got to Houston in 2006. So I've handled transactions as far as even, you know, selling cars. So I purchasing cars and selling cars with no help from anyone, just using good common sense and a little research. So if you're a woman and you nervous about going to the dealership by yourself, just make sure that you do your research before you get there and know what kind of car you want, especially if you're a flashy chick and you like to have cars that are more flashy than being frugal, or caring about the economics of the gas mileage. If you're not, for years I was not a Toyota person. I didn't want no Toyota. I couldn't stand Toyota. And so every time my uncle or my friends would be like, you should get a Toyota, I don't want no Toyota. I always wanted like a Dodge Charger, or just Challengers are still my favorite. So I still like those type of cars that I can afford in that bracket. It's not the top of the top of fast car, but it's a good fast car if you got a job. So after that, I moved to Houston and I worked a job at night, and I kept catching a bus, and everybody was like, it's not safe for you to catch the bus. You should just get you a little cash car. You should do this and do this and that. And I stuck to it. I would not. I said, you know what? I sold my car to get down here, which was a cash car that I had paid off, and I'm not going to come down here and get a used car. So I saved up my money and I worked hard towards it, and I went and copped whatever year it was that year. So I had a Nissan Sentra, and I went in there, and that one, I think that was the hardest negotiating deal that I had ever done at that time, because that was the first time I purchased a car brand new off the lot. And I heard that if you go in during certain times of the year, that you can try to negotiate, because they're trying to push those cars out. So that's exactly what I did. I walked in the rain, I walked in the heat until it was around that time for it to come, and then I went ahead and walked in there and negotiated. And at the time I had just finished like HCC, some courses that I was taking for travel and tourism there. So I went ahead and I presented to them, that I had just graduated. They took off $1,500 off the top, I believe. It was like $15 or $2,000. So sometimes they can have those new incentives in where if you just graduated or you just came out of high school, maybe just out of college or whatever, they'll cut off $1,500 to $2,000 right then and there for you. So that's already about $1,500 to $2,000 that they knocked off. And then I told them that I was looking for a specific color, and they didn't have the specific color that I was looking for. So I asked them to knock off another $500 to $700 for that. I remember the man telling me, looking at me real crazy when I said $700, but they ended up taking off about $500 for not having the color that I wanted. So I was able to purchase that car. It was very, below what the average was on the sticker price, and I was pretty much happy with that. I put down probably about $800, cash after saving up, and then the payments weren't bad every month, So everything was okay with that purchase. And then after that, there was I had a lot of cars, huh? It was a Ford that I bought, and it was some issues with that, so I had to trade it in and get a Kia. But during the Kia process, a Kia car already cheap, so I don't think that there's too much negotiating that you have to do. And when you're at CarMax, you always have like a price that's on the sticker, and sometimes they're willing to work with you and take something off the sticker price, and sometimes they're not. So it depends on where you go. I know a few people in my family, they like CarMax and they prefer it. I think CarMax is a little expensive sometimes, but you can get all types of warranties and insurances and stuff that'll kind of take care of the major parts of your car. So it's not that difficult. Just make sure that if you're a female, single female, or even if you're a male, it's not just for females. If you're a male that has never been to purchase a car by yourself and you scared of going by yourself, just go ahead and go, because it's nothing that your friends can teach you or negotiate for you that you cannot do for yourself. Only you know what you want. You know how you want the wheel to turn when you grip it. You know what type of cars you like. You know if you want to be economical or if you want to be flashy. Only you know. And it's nothing that your friend or uncle or mama or cousin or daddy can go in there and negotiate for you unless they are the actual salesperson or know the salesperson. So just be confident when you go in. Have some good sense about yourself. Don't go in there not knowing what kind of car you want. That's the worst thing you can do, is to go in and tell somebody, hey, I'm just trying to get to work, I'm trying to get from A to B, and I just need a car. Because that's exactly what they're gonna put you in, an A to B car. You're gonna get to work, you're gonna be at A, and you might make it back to B. So go in with some type of confidence and say, I'm looking for a reliable car. I've narrowed it down to these two type of makes, and this is what I want, and this is what I'm working with, and and see what can happen from there. So don't be afraid to go by yourself and work it out, because it has worked for me. So I jumped out of that game. I'm tired of paying car notes, and so hopefully I don't have to worry about that anymore. You know, I've made another purchase and I worked hard and saved up for that. And because it comes a point where you just have to make sure you have things that say your name on it. You have to own it. You need some type of assets. So if you're trying to get to the point where you're in the middle of building up your assets, then this video might help you. Get you a cash card. Just save up, take some time. Everybody want to be hot in the summer, you know, but it's cold in the winter. Don't forget that too. So you need to be able to ride. I always told people, if I didn't have a car and was on a bus, I would rather walk in the heat than walk in the cold. Because, like, for example, in Texas, these summer heats, they bad. They bad. I'm not gonna lie. But you know what? The winter, every time it snow in the north, it rain here. So I think that I would rather walk through heat and just try to keep a bottle of ice water than try to carry an umbrella, a coat, and some boots and all of that stuff in the wintertime when it's cold and it's raining. That is the worst. I've been through that, and I just hope to never go through that again. So, you know, this a little transparent, humble moment, me telling my business, but it's the truth. So whatever it is that you have to do to make it, just go ahead and do it, and make sure that it's a good purchase. And I'm proud of myself because I haven't had any real issues out of any of the cars I purchased cash. So, you know, I've been blessed in that area. It has a lot to do with you being positive on your journey as well. If you say that I'm going to get something that's going to work for me, it's going to fit me, then it will. But if you go into it being worried about it, scared, or hesitant, it will not work. So clear that up, get the bad thoughts out your mind, meditate on it, pray on it, whatever it is that you like to do, and put it in your mind that it is something that you can set out to do and achieve, and it'll work out. So I hope this has been helpful to you all. Peace out.